Hi everyone, Agnes here, and this discussion you're about to listen to is a group of wonderful people that have good self-love and have been working on their self-worth, working on their law of attraction using Neville, Florence, and today's discussion is about which do you prefer and which has got you the best results, Neville or Florence. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, welcome to a discussion with 6 of us tonight, and we are going to be discussing Neville Goddard versus Florence Scovel Shinn. Now, Neville is a teacher of choosing specific desires and manifesting them and getting into the state required, which is that you have already what you want. And Florence talks about the divine design. So perfect health, perfect wealth, perfect love, perfect self-expression. And she talks about using prayer, infinite spirit, open the way for my perfect work, my perfect relationship. But she talks a lot about being open and non-specific. So we're going to discuss these 2 different points of view, 2 different ways around the circle tonight. And I'm going to choose Hamza to go first because I know it's quite late at your end, Hamza. Let's go with you first.
Hi, everyone. Very happy to be part of this discussion. So I don't have a lot of experience with both, but I have a few things to say. I think the main difference between Florence and Neville is of control. So when you're doing Neville, then I think it's more about you in control. And when you're doing Florence, then it's you giving control to the universe or God or what we call infinite spirit. So it's more about submission and trusting the universe for bringing bringing us the best. Because when we do Neville, we get stuck on something and we think it's best for us, but it's not always sometimes the best thing for us. And sometimes we don't end up getting the same thing we are fixated on. And then that can set you up for disappointment. So I feel with Florence, it's safer, number one, because you're letting the universe bring you the best. And secondly, so one is safety, and second is if you're manifesting something new, then I think it's better to go for Florence because you're open, and then you can say infinite spirit, open the door for the right relationship or for the right job, because you don't know what it's going to be. So you can ask the universe for bringing you the right thing. So when you want to create something new, then I feel I would personally go for Florence. And if you want to recreate something from the past, then maybe Neville might be a better idea. Yeah.
Nice. Have you, Hamza, used Florence's way of manifesting and got something more wonderful than what you would have liked because of that more open, broad way of receiving?
I am going to try it because I want to move abroad and I don't know where it's going to be. So I think I'm going to try with Infinite Spirit to open the door for the right place for me. So that will be my next manifestation. But I've used Florence affirmations to turn some really hopeless situation, especially where she says that the unexpected happens. That affirmation is very powerful. So I've used that and I think it has worked. So I find her affirmations to be very, very powerful and effective.
Yeah, I know that affirmation, Hamza, and that was one I used again and again and again. And some really unusual things happened, and I'll put the links down below for those stories. But it does bring in things that you couldn't even imagine or think about because we get so fixated on, okay, I want that particular thing, that person, that job, that location, that, whereas like you said, sometimes there's something even more amazing for us. And if we're not so white knuckled about it, then those amazing things can come in. So yeah, and that I'm going to share that affirmation. The unexpected happens. My seemingly impossible good now comes to pass. It's a lovely, broad affirmation.
Also, I had something at work come up and I just could not decide what was good for me. I was really confused. Then I used this affirmation while I was on the call with my boss, and I had to, basically decide on that call. I started doing this affirmation: Infinite Spirit, give me wisdom to make the most of my opportunities. Never let me miss a trick. So I think I did it for like 10 minutes. And within those 10 minutes, I was able to get something which worked out for me.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, Florence has got such amazing affirmations, and I will put some of her books down below for people that want to check out her amazing writings and her just really general way of manifesting, and a lot of affirmations through prayer. That's one of her specialties. Lovely. Thank you, Hamza. And the idea of doing this tonight was to really look at how different people apply, whether it's Neville or Florence, and whether people have had good results, whether it's specific or non-specific. So, Mercy, you go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so this is a very, very sensitive topic when it comes to the law of attraction, spirituality, whatever you guys call it, because especially with people who want to manifest specific people, which is an X, they're very, very sensitive when it comes to these things, because if you by any chance tell them that you cannot manifest a specific person, they'll freak out. But okay, so I want to approach this like I come from a very from an engineering background, so from a very scientific background. So I have, if we look at it from that point of view, I can give a broad explanation when it comes to this. As when it comes, then when we go into spirituality or the law of attraction, we can talk about Neville and Florence, as you guys said. So when it comes to quantum physics, we can reason at the level of atoms, and when we go deeper, we have like electrons, protons, and neutrons. And electrons, I'm not going to go speak a lot about science, so calm down, everyone. But electrons have two ways of like when we go deep, electrons are the base of everything, basically, like of us, of this pen, of glass, of this iPod that I have in front of me. And they have two ways. They act two ways. They act like particles and they act like waves. So they have done a lot of experiments when it comes to this, and they have seen that electrons, when they're being observed, they act like particles, while when they're not being observed, they act like infinite possibilities, which is they act like waves. So now coming back to Neville's way of approaching things is like pushing, like observing our thoughts, which is energy, observing our emotion, which is energy at the base, electrons, and pushing it in one direction. So observing our thoughts and pushing it in one direction, focusing everything in one direction. So making electrons act like particles. So that means like everything you think about, you get in the outside. While Florence's way of approaching it is just, part like when they act like waves. So based on what I have experienced, I like to read a lot. I like to talk to a lot of people. I talk to Agnes, I listen to everyone. But I think at the end of the day, what's important is what I have experienced. And I have experienced both. I've worked with both. I've worked with Neville for some things, and I've worked with Florence for some things. I have desired specific things, and I have desired, I have gone general sometimes. Mostly it's easy to go general because you don't have a lot of resistance. So when you have less resistance, it's easier to manifest. And when you are specific, you're going to have reality, which is going to be pushing back. And the universe usually takes the easy way out. Water doesn't flow up, it goes down. So most of the time, when you have a lot of resistance, it's going to be you changing your mind instead of reality changing. So For me, yes, Neville is the one I use most of the time, like I said. But I think the trick here is, instead of like going specific, like person, specific thing, specific, go specific feeling. I think because we don't manifest the thing, we manifest the feeling that the thing gives us. So we don't manifest Jack or Johnny or Veronica or whoever. We manifest the feeling these people bring in our life. We don't manifest 20 euros, we don't manifest 10 euros, we manifest the feeling that this brings into our life. So if we are being irritated because Jack is not using his phone, then we manifest Jack to stop using his phone. The irritation is still going to manifest. Maybe Jack is going to start sitting down, and that's going to irritate us. So instead of going specific with the person, with the money, or with whatever, I usually go specific with the feeling. So yes, I manifest specific feelings, specific, like in my relationship, I manifest love, great communication. Romantic, what does a romantic person make me feel? It makes me feel appreciated. Okay, I go for appreciation. Great communication, what does great communication make me feel? It makes me feel respected. Okay, I go for respect. I manifest a specific feeling. So yeah, that's what I usually get. And then when it comes to general things, yes, sometimes, like Hamza has said, I do manifest general things. I don't know, it was all over the place, but I hope you guys understood.
No, it's always good to see how somebody thinks about it and then how someone applies it. And there's different ways to do those things. So yeah, I mean, results trump everything.
Yeah.
And how you got those results, if you can wind it back and go, okay, I did that didn't really work. And I think too, the more interested you are in trying something and making it fun, those are the techniques, or whether you use Florence or Neville, that the more joy and fun you have in playing this game with yourself, I think that trumps all and gives you the best results. So yeah, I like how you explain that. I like how you explain that.
Yeah, one last thing that I want to say is, because let's face it, we're having this conversation more for the people who want to manifest a specific person mostly. So, people think the person they are manifesting is not in their lives. But the thing is, if you are feeling irritated, if you're feeling neglected, if you're feeling rejected, this person is still in your life reflecting that to you. So just change the feeling, start feeling love, start feeling respect, and this person is going to reflect that to you. It doesn't matter if it is A, B, C, D, guy or girl, everyone reflects whatever you're feeling. So even their absence is a manifestation, because you're feeling a rejection, neglection, you're still manifesting this person. So even if you're going specific, unspecific, work with those feelings that you are feeling in here, so that those people don't reflect that back to you.
Yeah, that's right. The absence of something is a manifestation, or is evidence of something. Yeah, exactly. Nice, nice, nice. Ah, Caitlin, you want to go next?
Sure. First off, I want to say that Mercy made some amazing points that I really appreciated hearing, so thank you for that. I know that when Agnes and I first started working together a couple years ago, we had this conversation when she was introducing me to Florence and Neville, because obviously I'd never heard of either of them before. And in the years that Agnes and I have known each other, I listen to a variety of different YouTubers. Mainly I focus on like 3 at a time, but there's always at least 5 in my peripheral. And one of them that I really like is a girl named Sammy Ingram. And she did a video week or so ago that was a little clickbaity. She clarified it in a later video, saying that, you know, I'm done with Neville. And I thought, what's this? Okay, gotta listen to this. And basically, she made this really good point that Neville is setting the rules for manifestation. And it's up to us if we're going to take that as law and if we're going to follow it. And while I didn't agree with, you know, everything that she said in the video, I thought it was a really interesting point. It's like we've been discussing, Florence is very much someone who's telling you basically how to let go, how to receive, how to be open. For me personally, that affirmation, my seemingly impossible good now comes to pass, that's a favorite of mine. But other than that, I do tend to fall towards Neville and people who base their own theories and practices off of Neville because of the specifics. And I personally like his books and listening to his lectures because he gives examples of people that have been successful and he tells us how they've achieved their success. So I think that mainly helps booster people's faith in the process. And it's just very logical. And he roots it in, you know, the Bible, which was very much a quotidian theory back in the day. And we've moved away from it. So I can understand where like Sammy Ingram is coming from and saying like, oh, we need to move past Neville. Maybe not necessarily move past him. Like if you're in philosophy, you have to read Socrates, you have to read Plato, but you know, you also want to read Freud, you want to read Lacan, you want to read like, you know, more modern people as well. I feel like this is a field that is growing and developing as more people are getting involved with it. But I do feel like Neville is always going to be relevant, and the success that I've had, my big manifestations that have been, you know, specifically things I've tried to manifest, like moving to Ireland, getting my PhD, stuff like that. I've used practices that have been based in Neville's theory. When I'm looking for, you know, that more general, just like, for example, when I first moved to Ireland by myself, I didn't know a soul. It was very difficult moving to an entirely new country by yourself. And I really anchored myself in the affirmation, my seemingly impossible good comes to pass. And I ended up making wonderful friends, just everything really smoothed out rather quickly once I went general and just relaxed with that. So that's my thoughts.
Lovely. I think the key word you said there right at the end, Caitlin, was relaxed. And I think we get, so many of us, really intense about, you know, focusing, manifesting. I need to get that. I need to get that to be happy. And when you do relax, you enjoy the day. It's not that you don't think about what you desire, but the more you relax, the more you let go, the more you surrender, whether you're doing Neville or Florence or Abraham Hicks, which we're not talking about today, but that might be for a future one. The relax part, I think, is very underused. I think it's so geared to be action figure techniques, do this, go there, do this X amount of time. And we need to focus, obviously, but I do think there's a fine line between focus and obsession. And obsession doesn't yield results because it's coming from desperation. So it's using the techniques and using all these wonderful tools, but from a relaxed, open-handed place that you let go once you've done the meditation, the affirmations, or, you know, the scripting, the vision board, whatever else you're into. And, you know, I mean, Neville's got so many amazing techniques that, you know, the congratulatory scene and living in the end, which are some of his signature techniques. And Florence, very much praying for the divine design, and that she talks about commands and demands and different things. I will put some of these in more detail down below for people that don't know the works of either of these people very well. But it is, it's fun to explore and it's fun to play with. So I do think with Neville, probably more than with Joseph Murphy, with Florence, with Wayne Dyer, with, some are dead, some are still alive, but Neville seems to attract more of, because it's specific related, as in, and Mercy touched on it, specific person related. It seems that Neville attracts a lot more, Neville's the right way and that's the only way. I see that a lot. And I see it more and more over the years. And I love Neville. I love what he writes, how he explains it, his success stories, the evidence. And Florence too. She's got some wonderful stories. I just think getting to this way is the only way, I would say, is not something I subscribe to, because there's always someone that can teach us something in a different way. And I personally like to be open to learning if someone new comes along, and still being aware of, Neville's old lectures or Florence's books and things like that, but never shutting the door to listening to someone else. I think there's always it's always a wonderful thing to pan out and your lens to be open, pan out your lens a bit. So yeah, thanks, Caitlin. Josh, you want to say a few words? You're reading Florence at the moment, so we've had a few conversations about that.
Yeah, well, thanks to Hamza for making the recommendation about the Game of Life and how to play it. I mean, it was very much like Kamal's book. It dragged you in almost. And like you said, there's a lot of examples of how people have managed to go on and achieve some great manifestations. So yeah, there was a lot to learn from that. I mean, I've dipped in both, so when I started this out all those years ago, when I asked the universe, divine, whatever you all call it, Mr. Potato Head, blah, 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 I said, look, I want a person that reflects me. That's basically what it came down to, and I got that. And of course, obviously, events unfolded, and this is why I'm here now. So put that aside. So I let go, and I just, I managed to achieve that just by asking for something. And I suppose you would call that a Florence way of doing things, asking the divine. In terms of Neville, I mean, I went back to college to do some academics. And unfortunately, when COVID hit, we could no longer attend college. So it was taken upon your mock exams. There is an answer to all this. They went off your mock exams, and they went off that grade instead. And thankfully, what I was doing was I was visioning holding a piece of paper with essentially a pass grade. And lo and behold, I managed to get that, even though the amount of negativity was brought up in my mind, saying that, I didn't do enough and blah, blah, blah. So that's a Neville thing. I did my best to keep visioning, holding that piece of paper, regardless what the outside brought me, up until the manifestation of, hey, you passed, well done. So I think, and you made a point there, it's whatever one is comfortable with doing, especially with the SP sort of stuff. I think when people are in desperate states like I have, I mean, look, I don't, I'll be the first to admit, sometimes just imagining being in bed with an SP or somebody that you want to be with, it's fine as long as it's not causing great stress. If it's causing stress, then you're not doing yourself any favors. So, I mean, I do that sometimes, but then if it's causing me any stress, and then, I just stop myself and then go into more of a self-love approach, and let go as best as I can, which both of them, as both LOA speakers, Florence and Neville, both of them come down to the point that you have to let go, regardless. Yeah, so what I was going to say was, I don't know any teachers out there that tell you to not let go of, which both of them do. So it's not one size fits all, so go with whatever makes it really happy, really. But as long as again, there's something that Mercy touched on about getting the SP and whatnot. Sorry, not Mercy. Sorry, mate. Florence. The vibe that I was getting from Florence was that she was not twisting people's free will. So you're asking the divine something along the lines of, what is designed for me, the person that is for me, essentially. The only criticism I've got about is it sounds like entitlement to somebody. That's the only criticism I've got. Where because you're not entitled to anything. In that's my belief. You're not entitled to the air that you breathe. That's the only thing you've got. So I don't know. It's very. I don't know. It's but with Neville and choosing an SP, I mean, I don't know. You might be getting somebody else, and they may be showing you things that you do not like, which is what Mercy was saying about examples like Jack or Veronica. Then obviously that opens up a whole new loophole of what I've got to work on within. So you're forever having to work on yourself and using the techniques from Mercy or Neville. So yeah, it's you can go on forever for this, But yeah, that's really all I've got to say.
Good stuff. I mean, I know you've messaged me a few times lately saying, "Oh, I'm reading this and this is so good." And I mean, Florence is different to Neville, and you were introduced to Neville before you were introduced to her. So it's lovely to see someone talk about it with fresh eyes and to share, the good bits of her. And I do find she's a little bit more open-handed, and like you're saying, the free will doesn't get interfered with somebody else. So, and that's a lovely quality, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Brilliant. Thank you, Josh. Julia.
Hello, I am awake now. Okay, so obviously, since I'm still relatively new to manifesting, I will share obviously my experiences with both Neville and Florence. So obviously, given that I've shared a lot of my videos and stories about my specific person, obviously, yes, I did use Neville. Yes, I've had great success with him and his techniques. And like you said, Agnes, there's so many different techniques that you could use, like there's state akin to sleep, there's the congratulatory scene, there's the I remember when technique. And there's lots of, resources that he has that one can use to in order to help you achieve that goal. And if anyone needs extra resources, I also recommend looking at the Neville Goddard SP subreddit in Reddit for anyone that uses that platform. It's it's nice to see people share success stories around his techniques, and I really like that community. I think it's nice that people share all that. So I've had great success with his techniques. I mean, I'm living in my manifestation now where me and my boyfriend have a great relationship. And for those of you that are new to the channel, my story is X-Back story number 80. So I'm sure Agnes will put the links down below to my interviews and stories regarding that. And I think there's nothing wrong with manifesting a specific person. I mean, when I first attracted him in the beginning of our relationship all those years ago, he, was a great guy, and, or it still is a great guy, so to say. But I think as Neville talks about states, obviously when you're in a state of feeling loved and wanted and secure and good enough and free and first best, that's what you're going to attract back. I mean, we all know about everyone who's you pushed out, right? So and then when I was feeling low and feeling down, that was when I had unfortunately inadvertently manifested a version of him that was unfavorable and negative. So obviously that was what is going to reflect back in my everyday life. So once I knew about conscious creation and watching your thoughts and how your thoughts create your reality, that's how I knew straight away that that was the key for me to attract him back. And now we are in a loving, happy, healthy, committed relationship that is literally heading towards the future. So so I've had really great positive experiences with Neville, and I did have a few bumps along the way where I was a bit frustrated with things I didn't see in my reality, and I was like, oh my god, not this again. But in the end, I just continued to persist and was determined. So I think for one that has that determined and persistent mindset, I feel like attracting a specific person wouldn't be an issue. Now on to Florence. I do find that I actually did use Florence when I was attracting my current job, where I had a list of qualities that I wanted in my job and things that I would have liked, and I just said, look, universe, I'm going to leave it in your hands. I don't care what company I work for, just as long as it has this, and I let it go, and I just let the universe do the work in order to find the best match for me. But I would eventually like to use more Florence, because I do like the idea of letting the universe and the divine good bring your best match for you. And I do like that element of surprise, actually. So I feel like there's nothing wrong with both techniques. I think they're both great. They're both great authors and excellent resources to use. But and I think it just depends on your situation, and it depends on the person you're with. If you find it easier to let go, Florence is good for that. Or if you prefer like a specific object or situation or person, then Neville's the good road to go. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you. It's great. It's good to just, weigh it up, balance it out, look back. And all of you here, those of you that I have interviewed before, I will put the interviews down below for people to have a look. And I will also put the Florence Scovel Shinn playlist and the Neville Goddard playlist, which some of my absolute favorite YouTubes and techniques and lessons from them are in those playlists. Okay, well, I'm going to say thank you everyone for joining in, and thank you for your opinions and your experiences and how you've used this. I think it's always great for people to see those that are further down the track, that have been around for a while, how they're using it, how they've used it in the past, and the results that they've got. So everybody just stay on, and I will sign off. And thank you to everyone that's watched the discussion, and I hope it's helped you to decipher which way to go, or to keep going, listening to both Neville and Florence. Lots of love, everyone, and I'll see you in the next YouTube.